Muscular Tech CEO never told his secretary how he felt until he saw her in another man's arms. As Michael spun Alana across the dance floor, Wes's phone buzzed with a message that changed everything. Your company's secrets aren't as safe as you think. Have you ever been paralyzed by fear when it came to telling someone how you felt? Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. The billionaire who built a $4.7 billion empire couldn't say 4 words to save his heart. Wes Carter watched the woman he'd loved in silence for 2 years dance with another man at the San Francisco Gala, not knowing that man was a corporate spy sent to destroy everything he'd built. Have you ever loved someone so much that your silence became your prison? Have you watched the person you care about slip away because you were too scared to speak up? Tonight, we explore what happens when a man who conquers boardrooms can't conquer his own fear. The problem isn't just about love, it's about power, pride, and the dangerous games people play when billions are at stake. Stay with me as we uncover how one night of jealousy exposed a betrayal that threatened both love and legacy. Hit that like button if you've ever been too afraid to say what your heart was screaming. Let me take you back to where silence first became his enemy. For 732 days, Wes Carter had practiced saying, "I love you," in his office mirror, until the night he saw Alana laughing in another man's arms. The grand ballroom of the St. Regis San Francisco glittered with crystal chandeliers and tech royalty, but Wes only saw her. Alana in that midnight blue dress that made his breath catch, her laugh musical as she leaned into a stranger's whispered joke. The sound cut through champagne chatter and violin strings like a blade finding its mark. 2 years. 24 months of stolen glances across conference tables, of her fingers brushing his when she handed him coffee, sending electricity straight to his chest, of late nights when the Austin office emptied and they worked alone, her presence filling spaces he didn't know were hollow. Wes Carter owned server farms across 3 continents. His fitness wearables tracked the heartbeats of millions. Forbes called him the body whisperer for creating technology that read human desires before people knew they had them. But watching Alana Rivers smile at another man, he felt like a teenager who'd forgotten how words worked. "You're staring." Marcus Chun, his business partner, appeared beside him with 2 glasses of champagne. Again, Wes took the drink without looking away. "I'm observing market dynamics." "Right. And I'm the Queen of England." Marcus followed his gaze. "She looks happy." "Happy." The word twisted in Wes's gut like bad code. Alana threw her head back, laughing at something the tall, dark-haired man whispered. Her hand rested on his arm, comfortable, natural, everything Wes had never learned to be with her. "Who is he?" The question escaped before Wes could stop it. "Michael Chun. No relation to me, unfortunately. Investment banker from New York. Made a fortune in tech acquisitions." Marcus sipped his champagne. Word is he's looking for his next big score. The man, Michael, spun Alana across the dance floor with practiced ease. She moved like water in his arms, trusting and graceful. When had she learned to dance like that? In the 2 years she'd worked for him, organizing his life with quiet efficiency, she'd never mentioned dancing. Never mentioned wanting to be swept across polished floors by men who knew how to lead. Wes pulled out his phone and typed the words he'd rehearsed 1,000 times. "Alana, I need to tell you something important. Can we talk?" His finger hovered over send. She was beautiful. Not just tonight, in silk and diamonds borrowed from the company's styling budget, but every morning when she walked into his office with that slight smile and her "Good morning, Mr. Carter." Even when she wore those conservative blazers that hid her curves, even when she pulled her hair back so severely it looked like armor. Especially then, because Wes saw what others missed. The fire in her dark eyes when she defended a budget decision. The way she bit her lip when concentrating. The grace in her movements that spoke of strength instead of submission. Alana Rivers wasn't just his secretary. She was the heartbeat of his empire, the steady rhythm that kept everything from falling apart. And he'd never told her. As Michael spun Alana across the dance floor, Wes's phone buzzed with a message that changed everything. Your company's secrets aren't as safe as you think. Have you ever been paralyzed by fear when it came to telling someone how you felt? Drop a heart emoji if you know that ache. Alana Rivers had built walls around her heart after Atlanta, but she never expected a smooth-talking New Yorker to climb them so effortlessly. 3 hours earlier, she'd been checking her reflection in the hotel bathroom mirror, smoothing down the midnight blue dress that cost more than her monthly rent. The company stylist had insisted on the plunging neckline, the way it hugged her curves before flowing to the floor like liquid silk. "You represent Carter Industries tonight," the woman had said. Looked the part. But what part was she supposed to play? The efficient secretary who kept Wes Carter's world running? The master's degree holder who was overqualified for fetching coffee and managing calendars? Or the woman who'd spent 2 years pretending she didn't feel electricity every time her boss looked at her with those intense gray eyes? "You look stunning." The voice belonged to Michael Chun, though she didn't know his name yet. Tall, confident, with the kind of smile that suggested he was used to getting what he wanted. "I don't think we've been introduced." Michael Chun Acquisitions. Alana accepted his offered hand, surprised by the warmth of his palm against hers. "Alana Rivers. I work for Carter Industries." Lucky Carter Industries. His eyes held hers a beat longer than necessary. "What do you do there?" The question every accomplished black woman dreaded at corporate events. She could see him trying to place her. Too young to be an executive, too polished to be support staff, too beautiful to be invisible. In Atlanta, at functions with her ex-fiancé, she'd grown tired of explaining herself. Here, representing Wes's company, she felt the familiar weight of having to prove her worth. "I keep the CEO from making terrible decisions," she said, testing his reaction. Michael laughed, genuine, not patronizing. "That sounds like the most important job in the company. Mind if I ask you to dance?" I promised not to step on that gorgeous dress. On the dance floor, Michael moved with the confidence of someone who'd taken lessons, who understood rhythm and space, and how to make a woman feel graceful. His hand at the small of her back was warm, steady, professional, but with an edge of something more. "So what terrible decisions have you saved the famous Wes Carter from lately?" he asked as they swayed to the orchestra. "Buying a yacht," she said without thinking, then caught herself. "I shouldn't have said that. Your secret's safe. Though I have to ask, why was a yacht a terrible decision?" "Because he gets seasick. Violently." I had to research that after he mentioned wanting to live like Bezos for a weekend. The memory made her smile. Wes had looked so disappointed when she'd gently suggested a mountain cabin instead. Michael spun her gracefully, his eyes never leaving her face. "You care about him." It wasn't a question. Alana felt heat rise in her cheeks. "I care about doing my job well. That's not what I meant." His voice dropped lower, more intimate. "You light up when you talk about protecting him. That's not just professional dedication." The song ended, but Michael didn't release her. Around them, other couples moved apart, but they stayed close, his hand still at her waist. When someone tells you exactly what you want to hear, how do you know if it's real? Share your thoughts below. Some words cut deeper than betrayal, especially when they're true, spoken in private, and overheard by the one person who wasn't meant to hear them. Monday morning came too fast. The San Francisco Gala felt like a dream. Michael's attention, the dancing, the way he'd asked for her number with genuine interest instead of the usual corporate networking politeness. Back in Austin, reality settled around her like old clothes. Alana arrived at Carter Industries 30 minutes early, as always. The 20th floor hummed with pre-IPO energy, but Wes's corner office remained dark. She used the quiet to organize his calendar, respond to urgent emails, and try not to think about how Michael's hand had felt against her back. Her phone buzzed. A text from Michael. "Good morning, beautiful. Dinner this week? I know a place in Austin that might surprise you." Before she could respond, voices carried from the conference room. The door stood slightly open, Austin skyline blazing beyond the glass walls as familiar voices discussed something that made her freeze. "The IPO roadshow starts next month." That was Wes, his voice carrying the controlled tension she'd learned to recognize. "Everything needs to be perfect. No distractions." "Agreed." Marcus Chin's voice. "Speaking of which, what's the situation with your secretary?" At the gala, You looked ready to challenge that investor to a duel. Silence. Then Wes's laugh, short and bitter. Alana? She's just staff, Marcus. Brilliant staff, but still just staff. I'm not about to complicate a multi-billion-dollar IPO over someone who works for me. The words hit her like ice water, freezing her blood and her hope simultaneously. Just staff. After 2 years of late nights, shared takeout dinners, inside jokes, and moments when she could have sworn he felt what she felt. Just staff. Could have fooled me, Marcus continued. The way you watch her is professional interest in someone who keeps my life organized. Wes's voice turned crisp, final. Nothing more. I learned my lesson about mixing business with personal complications. It never ends well. Alana's hands shook as she closed her laptop. Professional interest. Personal complications. She'd spent 24 months reading poetry into spreadsheet reviews, finding meaning in accidentally brushed fingers, building fantasies around a man who saw her as expensive furniture. Her phone buzzed again. Michael, I meant what I said Saturday night. You deserve better than organizing someone else's life. This time, she didn't hesitate. Dinner sounds perfect. When and where? The reply came instantly. Tonight, 7 p.m., Fleming's Prime Steakhouse. I want to show you how a woman like you should be treated. When Wes emerged from the conference room an hour later, coffee in hand and that slight smile he reserved for their morning check-ins, Alana met his eyes with professional courtesy and nothing more. Good morning, Mr. Carter. Your 9 a.m. is confirmed, and I've rescheduled the board prep meeting to accommodate your lunch with the Goldman team. If he noticed the formal tone, the way she avoided his gaze, he didn't mention it. Have you ever had your worst fears confirmed by accident? When someone's private words revealed how they really saw you. Tell me how you handled it. They say the best actors make you forget they're performing, but Wes and Alana were so good at pretending they didn't care, they almost convinced themselves. The Austin office buzzed with pre-IPO energy, but the 20th floor felt like a war zone disguised as corporate efficiency. Alana moved through meetings with crystalline professionalism, while Wes watched her like a man studying a foreign language he'd never learned to speak. Something had shifted since San Francisco. The easy warmth between them had crystallized into polite distance. She still anticipated his needs, still managed his schedule with frightening precision, but the woman who used to linger in his office for an extra moment after delivering reports now delivered them and left without a word. The Goldman presentation needs restructuring, she said, placing the documents on his desk with careful precision. I've flagged the sections that need your attention. Her fingers didn't brush his when she handed over the files. Wes found himself missing that accidental contact more than he'd ever missed anything. Thank you. He searched her face for something. Irritation, hurt, anything that suggested their professional relationship had once trembled on the edge of something more. How was your weekend? Productive. She turned toward the door. Is there anything else you need, Mr. Carter? Mr. Carter. Why had she stopped calling him Wes during their private moments? When had those private moments stopped existing entirely? Actually, yes. The words escaped before he could stop them. I wanted to apologize if I seemed distracted at the gala. The IPO has me. No need to apologize. Her smile was perfectly calibrated, warm enough to seem genuine, distant enough to maintain boundaries. I understand completely. Will that be all? After she left, Wes stared at the closed door and wondered when he'd become a stranger in his own office. What he didn't see was Alana in the elevator, hands trembling as she pressed the button for the lobby. Or the way she sat in her car for 10 minutes, breathing deeply and reminding herself that dignity was more important than heartbreak. That evening, Fleming's Prime Steakhouse glowed with warm light and quiet conversation. Michael had chosen well, intimate without being presumptuous, expensive without being showy. Everything Wes would have done if he'd had the courage. You look incredible, Michael said, standing as she approached their table. He'd remembered she preferred to sit facing the room, a detail that surprised her. Thank you. The red dress had been an impulse purchase, bolder than her usual style. After 2 years of conservative blazers and careful modesty, she felt ready to be seen. Rough day. Michael's hand covered hers across the table. You seem tense. Just work. My boss is... She paused, searching for words that wouldn't reveal too much. Demanding. Most successful men are. But there's a difference between demanding excellence and taking someone for granted. His thumb traced across her knuckles. You strike me as someone who's been taken for granted. The observation landed with uncomfortable accuracy. Alana looked at Michael, really looked. Dark eyes that focused entirely on her. Expensive suit that suggested success without arrogance. Hands that touched her with intention instead of accident. When pride gets in the way of love, who usually loses? Have you ever played the I don't care game when you care too much? Share your story. There's a moment in every almost love story where someone crosses the line from what if to what now, and there's no going back. The rooftop restaurant overlooked Lady Bird Lake, Austin's lights dancing on the water like liquid gold. Michael had chosen well, intimate without being presumptuous, expensive without being showy. Everything Wes would have done if he'd had the courage. Tell me something true, Michael said, refilling her wine glass. 3 dates in 2 weeks, and he still looked at her like she was the most interesting person in any room. Alana considered the question. In Atlanta, with her ex-fiancé, she'd learned to edit herself, to be the version of herself that fit into his world, his plans, his vision of what a successful man's woman should be. With Wes, she'd been professional, capable, invisible. But with Michael, she felt permission to be honest. I used to think love was about becoming smaller, she said, making yourself fit into spaces that weren't designed for you. And now I think love should make you bigger, braver, more yourself, not less. Michael leaned forward, candlelight catching the gold flecks in his dark eyes. What changed your mind? The honest answer would have been Wes. Watching him command boardrooms with quiet intensity, seeing him treat janitors and CEOs with equal respect, discovering that power could be gentle instead of demanding. But that was before she'd learned she was just staff. Experience, she said instead. Bad relationships teach you what you don't want. What do you want? The question hung between them, loaded with possibility. Michael's hand found hers across the table, fingers intertwining with practiced ease. He was good at this, at making her feel chosen, desired, worth pursuing. I want someone who sees me, she said. Really sees me. Not just what I can do for them, but who I am when nobody's watching. I see you. His voice dropped lower, more intimate. Brilliant woman trying to convince herself she's ordinary. Beautiful woman who dresses like she's hiding. Strong woman who's tired of being strong alone. The words hit their target with precision that took her breath away. When had anyone looked at her with such clarity? When had anyone wanted to know her thoughts instead of just her schedule? Thunder rumbled overhead. The kind of Texas storm that appeared without warning and changed everything in its path. The first drops hit their table as other diners scattered for cover. My apartment's close, Michael said, standing and offering his jacket. We could wait out the storm. Alana hesitated. She'd been careful since Atlanta, protective of her heart and her body. But sitting in Michael's car as rain hammered the windshield, his cologne surrounding her and his attention focused entirely on her face, she felt something shift. Okay, she said. His apartment overlooked the Colorado River, floor-to-ceiling windows offering a view that probably cost more than her annual salary. But Michael wasn't looking at the view. He was looking at her like she was priceless. I should tell you, he said, moving closer. I didn't bring you here just because of the rain. I know. Her voice came out breathier than intended. I didn't come just because of the rain either. When he kissed her, it was nothing like the careful, professional distance she'd maintained for 2 years. This was heat and intention and the intoxicating feeling of being wanted without apology. His hands framed her face, thumbs tracing her cheekbones. You're incredible, he whispered against her lips. I can't believe someone hasn't claimed you already. Is it possible to love someone and move on with someone else at the same time? What's the difference between healing and settling? Drop your thoughts below. Some conversations happen 2 years too late, in empty offices with hearts that have already started breaking in different directions. The Carter Industries building stood empty except for the 20th floor, where lights hummed over scattered IPO documents and two people who'd been avoiding this moment for 732 days. Austin slept below them, unaware that an empire's fate hung on words that should have been spoken years ago. Alana had returned to grab files she'd forgotten, or maybe she'd left them on purpose, needing an excuse to be somewhere that felt like home before everything changed. 3 dates with Michael had shown her what it felt like to be pursued, desired, chosen. Tomorrow, she'd probably say yes when he asked her to be exclusive. But tonight, she found Wes in the conference room, surrounded by projection screens and legal documents, looking more alone than any billionaire should. Working late again, she kept her voice neutral, professional. He looked up, and for a moment his careful mask slipped. Couldn't sleep. The IPO roadshow starts Monday, and I keep thinking about everything that could go wrong. You've prepared for this longer than most people prepare for marriage. She moved to the coffee machine, muscle memory taking over. Double shot. No cream, 1 sugar. You don't have to. I know. She pressed the buttons anyway, because taking care of him had become as natural as breathing. But you look like you need it. The coffee machine hissed and gurgled, filling the silence between them. When she placed the cup in front of him, their fingers brushed, the first real contact they'd had in weeks. The electricity was still there, crackling under her skin like live wire. Alana. His voice was rough, uncertain. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. She sat across from him, hands folded in her lap. Okay, did I do something wrong? Since San Francisco you've been. He searched for words. Different, distant, the question she'd been dreading. The one that would force her to choose between dignity and honesty, between protecting herself and protecting what little they had left. You didn't do anything wrong, she said carefully. You were honest about what I mean to you. I appreciated the clarity. Confusion flickered across his face. What clarity? I don't understand. Monday morning, you and Marcus discussing the IPO. She watched recognition dawn in his eyes, followed by something that looked like panic. I heard what you said about me being just staff. Jesus. He ran both hands through his hair. Alana, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. She stood, needing distance from the pain in his voice. You were protecting your business interests, making sure Marcus knew you wouldn't complicate the IPO over someone who works for you. It was smart. That's not. He was on his feet now, moving around the table toward her. That conversation wasn't about how I see you. It was about how I couldn't let Marcus see how I feel about you. The words hung in the air between them, heavy with 2 years of unspoken truth. How you feel about me? Her voice came out smaller than she intended. Like I'm drowning every time you walk into a room. Like the best part of my day is hearing you say good morning. Like I've been in love with you since your 3rd week on the job, and I'm too much of a coward to do anything about it. The admission hit her like a physical blow. She gripped the back of a chair, needing something solid to hold on to. 2 years, she whispered. You felt this way for 2 years and never said anything. You work for me. The power dynamic, the potential for what? For treating me like an equal instead of expensive furniture. Have you ever had that conversation? The one that comes too late, but changes everything anyway? When timing ruins even the truest feelings. Share if you've been there. Trust is like code. One corrupted line can crash the entire system, and Michaelchen was a master programmer. Michael's apartment looked different in daylight. Less romantic refuge, more sterile staging. Alana noticed details she'd missed in candlelight. No personal photos, books that looked unread, a laptop that never left his side even during intimate moments. You're quiet this morning, Michael said, emerging from the kitchen with coffee in expensive ceramic mugs. He'd slept shirtless, and she'd traced the muscles of his chest with her fingertips just hours ago. Now, watching him move around the space, she felt like she was seeing him for the first time, just thinking about work. She accepted the coffee, noting how he positioned himself between her and his laptop. The IPO launch is Monday. Right. Your boss must be stressed. Something flickered in his expression, too quick to catch, too deliberate to ignore. How's he handling the pressure? The question felt loaded. In 3 weeks of dating, Michael had never shown much interest in her job beyond general sympathy for having a demanding boss. Now he leaned forward, suddenly fascinated by Carter Industries' internal dynamics. "He's managing," she said carefully. "Why do you ask?" "Just curious. I've been following the company's progress. Impressive growth trajectory." He sat beside her on the couch, close enough that his thigh pressed against hers. "Must be exciting to be part of something so big." His hand found her knee, fingers tracing small circles that should have been comforting but felt oddly calculating. Alana set down her coffee, testing a theory. "Actually, I'm thinking about leaving after the IPO." Michael's hand stilled. "Leaving? What?" "Better opportunities. More money. You know how it is in tech. Loyalty doesn't pay the bills." "Where would you go?" The question came too fast, too sharp. When she looked at him, his expression was carefully neutral, but tension radiated from his shoulders. "A few places have reached out. Google, Microsoft." She watched his face. Even heard from some investment firms looking for inside industry knowledge. Investment firms? His voice stayed level, but she caught the interest he tried to hide. Which ones? Red flags blazed in her mind. Normal boyfriend response would be excitement for her opportunities, maybe concern about long distance if the jobs required relocation. Not this laser focus on which companies had contacted her. "Nothing concrete yet," she said, standing and moving toward the bathroom. "I should get ready for work." In the bathroom mirror, she studied her reflection. The woman looking back had spent 3 weeks falling for a man who might not exist. She thought about Wes's confession the night before, the raw honesty in his voice when he'd finally admitted 2 years of hidden feelings. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Check your email. Some things you need to know about Michael Chun. A friend." Her blood turned cold. With shaking fingers, she opened her email to find a message with attachments, background checks, financial records, and a photo of Michael with a different name. Marcus Kim, corporate espionage specialist. When your gut tells you something's wrong, but your heart wants to believe, which do you trust? Have you ever ignored red flags for love? Tell me about it. The moment you realize you've been someone's mark is the moment you understand how little you knew about love, trust, or yourself. The coffee shop buzzed with Austin's creative class, but Alana felt completely alone as she stared at her laptop screen. The documents from the anonymous sender painted a picture that made her stomach turn. Michael Chun didn't exist. The man she'd been sleeping with was Marcus Kim, a corporate espionage specialist with 3 previous cons and 2 destroyed companies in his wake. She scrolled through financial records showing payments from Zenith Capital, Carter Industries' biggest competitor in the wearable tech space. The timeline was perfect. Michael had approached her exactly 2 weeks after Zenith announced their intention to go public with a competing product. Her phone buzzed. "Michael, missing you. Dinner tonight? I have something important to ask you." The text that would have thrilled her yesterday now felt like ice in her veins. How long had he been planning this? How many of their intimate moments have been scripted, calculated, performed? She thought about Tuesday night, when he'd whispered that he was falling for her while his hands traced her bare skin. Had he felt anything, or was she just another job to him? "Alana," the voice belonged to Wes. She looked up to find him standing beside her table, concern etched in his features. "Are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." She slammed the laptop shut, heart hammering. "I'm fine. Just grabbing coffee before work. It's Saturday." His voice was gentle, the same tone he'd used Thursday night when he'd confessed 2 years of hidden feelings. "And you're crying." She touched her cheek, surprised to find it wet. "I said I'm fine." Without asking permission, Wes slid into the chair across from her. He wore jeans and a Stanford t-shirt, weekend clothes that made him look younger, more approachable. Less like the billionaire CEO and more like the man who'd looked at her with naked honesty 2 nights ago. "Talk to me," he said. "Please." The kindness in his voice nearly broke her. After learning she'd been nothing but a target, sitting across from someone who genuinely cared felt like stepping into sunlight after months underground. "I can't." She gathered her things, needing distance before she fell apart completely. I have to go. Alana, wait. He caught her wrist as she stood, his touch gentle but insistent. Whatever's wrong, you don't have to handle it alone. For a moment, she wavered. The urge to tell him everything about Michael's lies, about the corporate espionage, about how stupid she felt for falling for someone who'd seen her as nothing but a pathway to Wes's secrets, nearly overwhelmed her. But Michael had been in her apartment, in her bed, in her life for 3 weeks. If he was after Carter Industries' secrets, how much damage had she already done? I have to go, she repeated, pulling free of his grip. That evening, Michael arrived at her apartment with flowers and a bottle of expensive wine, his smile warm and genuine looking as ever. If you discovered someone you trusted was using you, would you confront them or secretly gather evidence first? What would you do to protect someone who hurt you? Share your strategy. When love and loyalty collide with survival instinct, heroes aren't born. They're forged in moments when there's no choice left but courage. Alana's apartment felt like a stage set as Michael poured wine and talked about his day in New York. Every gesture seemed choreographed now that she knew the truth. The way he touched her shoulder, the questions about her work that felt casual but weren't, the laptop bag he never let out of his sight. You seem distracted tonight, he said, settling beside her on the couch. His hand found her thigh, fingers tracing patterns that had once made her pulse race. Now they felt like spiders crawling across her skin. Just tired. Long week. She forced herself to lean into his touch, to play the role of the unsuspecting girlfriend one more time. Tell me about your meetings. Any interesting deals coming up? Always. His eyes sharpened with interest. Actually, I've been thinking about what you said about leaving Carter Industries after the IPO. My firm might have something perfect for you. Really? She turned to face him, letting him see hope in her expression. What kind of position? Consulting work. We help investors understand the companies they're considering. Someone with your inside knowledge of Carter's operations will be invaluable. His hand moved higher on her thigh, the touch calculated to distract. The pay would be substantially better than what you're making now. Inside knowledge? She kept her voice light, curious. Like what? Oh, development timelines, user data, financial projections. The kind of information that helps investors make smart decisions. He leaned closer, his lips brushing her ear. Think about it. You could finally get paid what you're worth. The confirmation of his true intentions hit her like a physical blow. He wasn't just after company secrets. He wanted her to sell them actively, to betray not just Wes, but millions of users who trusted their data to Carter Industries. That sounds amazing, she managed. When would this start? Soon. Maybe even next week, depending on how Monday's IPO launch goes. His hand cupped her face, thumb tracing her cheekbone in a gesture that had once felt tender. I know this is fast, but I think we could be incredible together. Business and pleasure. He kissed her then, and she forced herself to respond, to play the part while her mind raced. Monday. The IPO launch was Monday, which meant whatever he was planning would happen before then. I should use the bathroom, she said, pulling away. All this wine. In the bathroom, she typed a frantic text to Wes. Emergency. Michael Chin isn't who he says he is. He's corporate espionage. Don't ask questions, just change all your passwords and check your systems. I'll explain everything tomorrow. Before she could hit send, her phone was snatched from her hands. Now that's disappointing, Michael said, reading her unsent message. His voice had changed. Gone was the warm charm, replaced by something cold and calculating. I really was hoping we could do this the easy way. Alana backed against the bathroom wall, her heart hammering against her ribs. I don't know what you're talking about. Please, we both know you're smarter than that. He deleted her message with casual efficiency. The question is whether you're smart enough to cooperate or stupid enough to make this difficult. The mask had finally slipped. Standing in her bathroom doorway, phone in his hand and that predatory smile on his lips, Michael looked like exactly what he was. A hunter who'd been playing with his prey. When someone risks everything to save you from a threat you didn't even see coming, how do you repay that? What does real partnership look like in crisis? Comment below. Some showdowns happen in boardrooms, some in bedrooms, But the ones that matter most happen when masks finally come off and hearts have nothing left to hide. The executive conference room became a battlefield. Austin's skyline witnessing three people whose lives had become fatally intertwined. Michael stood at the head of the table like he owned it, while Wes and Alana flanked him. No longer just boss and employee, but partners in survival. Alana had managed to send one text before Michael destroyed her phone. Help. Carter Industries. Now, GPS location attached. She'd never been more grateful for Wes's obsessive attention to detail. He'd arrived with building security and a cybersecurity team within 20 minutes. Marcus Kim, Wes said, reading from the background report his people had compiled. Also known as Michael Chun, David Liu, and Jonathan Park, depending on which company you're infiltrating. 3 years with Zenith Capital, specializing in what they call competitive intelligence gathering. Michael, Marcus, whoever he really was, smiled with unrepentant confidence. I prefer to think of it as corporate matchmaking. I connect information with people who can use it productively. You mean stealing, Alana said, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her system. You seduced me to get access to Carter Industries data. Seduced is such an ugly word. His eyes raked over her with insulting familiarity. I prefer courted, and you were remarkably receptive to being courted. All those nights in your bed, listening to you talk about your boss's habits, his schedules, his security protocols. Heat flashed across Wes's face. You son of... Careful, Marcus interrupted. Violence won't solve your problems. Besides, the damage is already done. I've been uploading your user data for 2 weeks. Zenith's product launches tomorrow with features that will make yours look like a child's toy. Not possible. Wes's voice was controlled, but Alana could see the fury beneath his professional mask. Our systems are encrypted. Your systems are fine. Your secretary's access codes, however, were surprisingly easy to acquire. Marcus's smile was poisonous as he looked at Alana. You really should have stronger passwords, sweetheart. Wes C 2022 foot was almost embarrassingly obvious. The room went dead silent. Alana felt the blood drain from her face as the implications hit her. She'd used Wes's initials and the year she'd started working for him as her password. A detail she'd never told anyone, never written down, never shared. Except during pillow talk with the man she'd thought loved her. You're lying, she whispered. Am I? Check your system logs. See what was accessed using your credentials over the past 3 weeks. Every user database, every development timeline, every financial projection. His laugh was acid. The IPO you've worked so hard to prepare, it's going to be a disaster. Zenith will announce their superior product 12 hours before your market debut. Wes moved toward Marcus with dangerous intent, but Alana grabbed his arm. Don't. He wants you to lose control. Smart girl, Marcus said, though not smart enough to avoid falling for a man who was obviously using her for corporate access. The only one using anyone here is you, Wes said, his voice low and lethal. And you made one critical mistake, which is you underestimated her. Wes looked at Alana with something that looked like pride. Show him. Alana pulled out a recording device she'd been palming since Marcus's arrival. Every word you just said. Confession to corporate espionage, data theft, and conspiracy to manipulate stock prices. That's about 15 years in federal prison. Have you ever had to choose between your heart and your survival? Between protecting someone else and protecting yourself? What did you choose and why? War doesn't wait for you to be ready. It comes whether you want it or not. By 6 a.m., Wes's entire legal team was in his conference room. Coffee cups everywhere. Laptops open. Everyone looked like they hadn't slept. Because they hadn't. How bad is it? Wes asked his head lawyer, Tom Mitchell. Bad. Marcus got access to our fitness tracker algorithm. The health data of over 800,000 users. Names, heart rates, sleep patterns, GPS locations. Everything. Alana felt sick. She'd helped him get that access. Without knowing it, but still. He's already shopping it to our competitors, Tom continued. Samsung, Apple, Google. Whoever pays the most gets it all. Wes slammed his fist on the table. Over my dead body. There's more, Tom said quietly. He leaked part of the story to TechCrunch. The article comes out at noon. Carter Industries' executive assistant helps corporate spy steal user data. Alana's face went white. Her name would be all over the internet by lunch. Her family would see it. Her friends. Everyone would think she was a traitor. "We can fight this," Wes said, looking right at her. "I won't let him destroy you." "Ow," Alana whispered. "Everyone's going to think I'm a criminal." That's when Wes smiled. The same smile he used when he was about to close a billion-dollar deal. Because Marcus made one mistake. He trusted the wrong woman. Wes pulled out his phone, showed everyone a recording app. Still running. "You recorded everything?" Tom asked. From the moment he walked into this office yesterday. Every word, every confession, every thread. Alana stared at him. "You planned this." "The moment I saw you two together at that gala, I knew something was wrong." "You don't hug strangers, Alana. You barely hug me." His voice got softer. "So I started watching, started recording, started building a case." The room went quiet. "We have him," Tom said, listening to the recording. "This is enough to press charges. Fraud, corporate espionage, identity theft. He's looking at 10 years minimum." But Wes wasn't done. He pulled out another phone. Marcus's phone. "How did you get that?" Alana asked. "He dropped it when you need him." "I picked it up." Wes scrolled through it. "And look what I found. Text messages to his real boss. Bank transfers. Emails with our competitors. Everything." Tom whistled. This guy kept records of everything. One idiot. "Smart criminals always think they're the smartest person in the room," Wes said. But Marcus forgot one thing. "This is my company. My building. My security cameras. My rules." He looked at Alana. "And he messed with my woman." The words hung in the air like smoke. "Your woman?" Alana repeated. "If you'll have me." Everyone in the room pretended to study their laptops while Wes and Alana stared at each other. "We'll see," she said quietly. But she was almost smiling. Tom cleared his throat. "So what's the plan, boss?" Wes stood up, put on his jacket. "We're going to war. Have you ever had to fight for something you almost lost? Sometimes the biggest battles happen right when you think you're safe. What would you have done with that evidence? Revenge is best served at exactly 11:47 a.m., 13 minutes before your enemy thinks he's won. Marcus was sitting in his hotel room, probably celebrating, probably counting the money Samsung was about to pay him, probably thinking Alana and Wes were finished. He was wrong. Wes walked into the FBI field office in downtown Austin like he owned the place. Because in a way he did. Carter Industries employed half the tech workers in the city. He had connections everywhere. "Agent Sarachan," the woman said, shaking his hand. "We've been expecting you." Alana sat beside him, still nervous. "What if this doesn't work?" "It'll work," Wes said. "Trust me." Agent Shin spread Marcus's phone contents across the table. Messages, emails, bank records. 2 years of planning to destroy Carter Industries. "This is impressive," she said. "Most corporate espionage cases, we get partial evidence. This guy documented everything." "He's arrogant," Wes replied. "Thought he was untouchable." "Not anymore." Agent Shin stood up. "We're moving on him now. Full federal charges. This evidence is rock solid." While the FBI prepared their raid, Wes and Alana went back to the office. They had their own plan. At 11:47 a.m., Wes called an emergency press conference. Every tech reporter in Austin showed up. TechCrunch was streaming it live. "Ladies and gentlemen," Wes began, "this morning you are going to read a story about Carter Industries being compromised. That story is a lie." Cameras flashed. Reporters leaned forward. "The truth is, we've been working with federal authorities for the past month to catch a corporate spy. Someone who infiltrated multiple tech companies using fake identities." He nodded to Alana. She stepped up to the microphone. "My name is Alana Rivers, and I was targeted by this individual. He used a fake name, fake background, and fake feelings to try to access our company's data through me." Her voice was steady now, strong. But what he didn't know is that Carter Industries has the best security in the business. And the smartest CEO. She looked at Wes. "We saw through his plan from day one." The reporters were writing frantically. At this moment, Wes continued, "Federal agents are arresting Marcus Rodriguez, also known as Michael Stevens, also known as David Park. He's used dozens of fake identities to steal data from tech companies across Silicon Valley. Someone in the crowd gasped. Carter Industries' user data is completely safe. It was never compromised. And Ms. Rivers is a hero who helped us catch one of the biggest corporate spies in tech history. The press conference ended with thunderous applause. Later, in Wes's office, they watched the news coverage together. Marcus Rodriguez, 34, was arrested this afternoon on federal charges of corporate espionage, fraud, and identity theft. Sources say he was caught in an elaborate sting operation. Alana leaned back in her chair. "I can't believe it's over." "It's not over yet," Wes said quietly. She looked at him. "What do you mean? We still need to talk. About us. About what happens next." The air between them crackled with possibility. When someone betrays your trust, how long does it take to rebuild it? And what's the difference between forgiving someone else and forgiving yourself? Tell us in the comments. Sometimes winning feels worse than losing until you realize what you actually want. The story exploded across social media within hours. Hashtag corporate spy takedown was trending on Twitter. LinkedIn was buzzing with think pieces about data security. The tech world couldn't stop talking about it, but Alana wasn't celebrating. She was sitting in her apartment, scrolling through hundreds of comments about her. Most were supportive, calling her brave and smart, but some were cruel. She probably knew the whole time. Another gold digger playing victim. Why would a billionaire's assistant be that stupid? Each negative comment felt like a punch to the stomach. Her phone rang. Her sister Keisha from Atlanta. "Girl, I just saw the news. Are you okay?" "I don't know," Alana admitted. "Everyone's staring at me. My face is all over the internet. Some people think I'm a hero, others think I'm an idiot." "Listen to me," Keisha said firmly. "You helped catch a criminal. You saved people's private information. You did the right thing. But I fell for his lies, Keisha. I actually started caring about him. So what? You're human. Humans make mistakes. Humans get fooled by pretty faces and smooth talk. That doesn't make you stupid. That makes you normal." After the call, Alana felt a little better. But only a little. Meanwhile, Wes was dealing with his own problems. Board members wanted emergency meetings. Investors were asking questions. Stock prices were jumping around like ping pong balls. The good news, his CFO reported, is that our security response is getting praised everywhere. Forbes wants to do a cover story. Harvard Business School wants to study our case. And the bad news? Some people are asking why you didn't inform the board about the FBI investigation sooner. Wes rubbed his temples. Because I was protecting our employees. And protecting Alana. Speaking of Alana, the board wants to know about your relationship with her. There was the question he'd been dreading. "What relationship?" he asked carefully. "Come on, Wes. The way you looked at her during that press conference. The way you defended her. Everyone could see it." Wes sighed. "That's between me and her. Not anymore. You're a public company. Dating employees creates liability issues. HR problems. Potential lawsuits." That evening, Wes found Alana still at her desk, working late. "You don't have to stay," he said. "Yes, I do. I have 2 months of work to catch up on. All the time I wasted thinking about." She couldn't finish the sentence. "Marcus was good at his job," Wes said. "He fooled FBI behavioral analysts. Professional investigators. You weren't the only one. But I was the one who almost cost you everything." Wes sat on the edge of her desk. "You want to know what you almost cost me?" She looked up at him. "Nothing. Because the only thing that matters to me in this building is sitting right here." The words hung between them like a bridge waiting to be crossed. "Wes," she started. "I know. It's complicated. The company, the media attention, the board members asking questions. Is that why you haven't kissed me yet?" He smiled. "No, I haven't kissed you because I'm waiting for you to ask me to." Have you ever wanted something so badly that you were afraid to reach for it? Sometimes the scariest moment is right before you get everything you've ever wanted. What's holding you back? The moment before you change your entire life always feels like standing on the edge of a cliff. Alana stared at Wes for what felt like forever. The office was quiet except for the hum of computers and the distant sound of Austin traffic 44s below. "Kiss me," she whispered. He didn't hesitate this time. When their lips met, it felt like everything made sense. 2 years of stolen glances, accidental touches, and unspoken words finally had somewhere to go. She tasted like coffee and determination. He tasted like home. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. "Now what?" she asked. "Now we figure it out. Together." But figuring it out was harder than either of them expected. The next morning, Wes got a call from his head of HR. "We have a problem," Janet said. 3 employees have filed complaints about favoritism. They think Alana got special treatment during the Marcus situation because you two are involved. When not involved, Wes lied. "The kiss in your office last night says otherwise. Security cameras, remember?" Wes closed his eyes. Of course. He'd forgotten about the cameras. "Well, my options. Legally, either she leaves the company or you do. No in between. Dating employees is one thing, but dating your direct assistant creates too many liability issues." That afternoon, Wes called Alana into his office. "We need to talk," he said. She could tell from his voice that it wasn't good news. "The board met this morning," he began. "Because of the media attention and the HR complaints, they're giving us an ultimatum, which is, you resign or I step down as CEO." Alana felt like she'd been punched. "Are you serious?" "Dead serious. They're worried about lawsuits, favoritism claims, company culture issues. All the stuff that happens when bosses date employees." She stood up and started pacing. "So after everything we just went through, after catching Marcus, after saving the company, they want to punish us for having feelings? That's about the size of it. And what do you want to do?" Wes was quiet for a long moment. "I want to choose you. But I built this company from nothing, Alana. 12 years of my life. Thousands of employees depending on these jobs. I can't just walk away. And I can't just quit and pretend this never happened." They stared at each other across the desk that had separated them for 2 years. "There's a third option," Wes said slowly, "which is, you don't resign. You get promoted." "To what?" "Chief Operating Officer. Equal partner. Same level as me. Then we're not boss and employee anymore. We're business partners who happen to be dating." Alana's eyes widened. "Are you serious? You've been running half this company anyway. You know every detail, every process, every problem. You caught Marcus when I missed the signs. You've earned it. And the board will approve this? They will if I threaten to leave anyway. I'm still the majority shareholder. Still the founder. They need me more than I need them." For the first time in days, Alana smiled. Really smiled. "So you're asking me to be your business partner and your girlfriend?" "I'm asking you to be my everything. When life gives you an impossible choice, sometimes the answer is to change the rules entirely. Have you ever had to choose between love and career? What did you choose?" 6 months later, everything was different. Carter Industries had gone public, making both Wes and Alana multimillionaires. The Marcus Rodriguez case had become a Harvard Business School study on corporate security. And Alana Rivers, the girl from Atlanta who'd started as an assistant, was now COO of a Fortune 500 company. But the best part wasn't the money or the recognition. It was the way Wes looked at her every morning when she walked into their shared office. "Good morning, partner," he said, not looking up from his computer. "Good morning, boss," she replied, setting coffee on his desk. "We're equals now, remember? You don't have to bring me coffee. I want to bring you coffee. Swimmy." He finally looked up and smiled. The same smile that had made her stomach flip for 2 years. Except now she didn't have to hide it. "Board meeting in 20 minutes, she said. "Johnson Industries wants to merge. The offer is $2.8 billion. What do you think?" "I think we're worth more than that." "Counteroffer, $4.2 billion, or they can build their own fitness tracker empire from scratch." Wes laughed. "This is why I love you." The words slipped out before he could stop them. They'd been dating for 6 months, but neither had said love yet. Alana froze. "What did you just say?" "I said, this is why I respect your business acumen." "No, you didn't. This is why I appreciate your negotiation skills." "Wesley Carter, what did you just say?" He stood up, walked around the desk, and took her hands. "I said this is why I love you. Because you're brilliant and fierce, and you don't let anyone undervalue what you're worth. Including me." She kissed him right there in the office, not caring who might see through the glass walls. "I love you too," she whispered against his lips. even when you're being an idiot about expressing feelings. Hey, I'm getting better at that. 2 years too late, but yes, you're improving. The intercom buzzed. Mr. Carter, Ms. Rivers, the board is ready for you. They walked into the boardroom hand in hand. 6 months ago, this would have caused a scandal. Now, nobody even blinked. Johnson Industries has responded to our counter, board member Patricia Williams announced. $3.9 billion final offer. Wes looked at Alana. She shook her head slightly. Respectfully decline, Wes said. Carter Industries isn't for sale at any price. Sir, Patricia looked confused. We've built something special here, Alana explained. The technology, the team, the culture. You can't put a price on that. After the meeting, they stood on the balcony of their office, looking out over Austin. No regrets? Wes asked. About turning down $3.9 billion? None. About us. She turned to face him. Wesley Carter, you drove me crazy for 2 years. You made me fall in love with you while pretending you didn't notice I existed. You put me through corporate espionage drama that almost ruined my reputation. So regrets. The only regret I have is that it took us so long to figure this out. He pulled a small box from his jacket pocket. Well, maybe we can make up for lost time. Alana's heart stopped. Are you, Alana Rivers, will you marry me? Will you be my business partner, my best friend, my everything for the rest of our lives? She was crying now. Happy tears. Yes. Yes to all of it. When he slipped the ring on her finger, it felt like the ending of their old story and the beginning of something completely new. So what happens next? She asked. Next, we build an empire. Together. And after that, we live happily ever after. Sometimes the best love stories aren't about finding the perfect person. They're about finding the person worth fighting for. What's your love story? Share it in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories like this one. Because everyone deserves their happily ever after.